It's a testing ceremony at the Awakeners Academy. To evaluate the strength and rank of students, the professor calls them one by one to enter a special portal that leads to a room with a specially trained demon heart, capable of absorbing and measuring the student's energy. Then it displays their current rank and future potential for the whole academy to see. Most students turn out to be just E-rank losers. Some are proud to get D-rank with high potential. Then the top genius of the academy steps forward. He's the rich heir of the strongest guild, and everyone is eager to see his results. He enters the room with the heart, completely confident he'll become the biggest sensation and rank number 1 in academy history. He unleashes his power, and outside all the students cheer. He gets a high-tier D rank with the potential to reach S rank someday. His friends are especially proud, convinced this arrogant guy is a rare talent in the world. One of them even laughs at a humble boy named Si Chen, who's next in line. He's sure Si Chen will get nothing but disgrace, but Si Chen just ignores him and steps forward. He enters the room like everyone else, but this time, the demon heart is scared. Si Chen hasn't even used any skills yet, and the heart already shows a high-tier D rank, shocking everyone. Then he uses the weakest skill card he devoured from a monster, and easily reaches C rank. While everyone is still trying to process that, Si Chen goes even further. He switches to a stronger class card, and now the demon heart starts panicking. The moment he releases his power, a storm forms in the sky. The rank display glitches, showing S-rank potential. The professors are shocked, but this is only the beginning. Soon, the single S turns into triple S rank, and then the system displays an error due to maximum load. Now the professors are genuinely scared, and they rush into the testing room. When they enter, the entire room is destroyed. The demon heart is fried, completely dead. This has never happened before, so they have no idea what just happened. Meanwhile, our boy casually walks out. He actually devoured the demon heart after accidentally killing it with his overwhelming power. So who is Si Chen really, and why is he so strong? Well, he's a regressor who returned from a future where the entire world was conquered by demons. He was the last survivor, fighting for years, until he finally defeated the Demon King by self-destructing along with him. And then, after a blinding light, he woke up back in the past, in his dorm room. He feels confused and wonders if he has somehow reached the afterlife. But when he looks outside the window and sees people standing there, he slowly starts to realize what has happened. After a moment, it finally hits him that his wish has come true, and he has regressed back in time to his university days from 10 years ago. Just then, a strange hologram appears and informs Chen that the integration of the power of gluttony has been completed. As he keeps staring out of the window, he realizes that he now has 3 years left before the first Demon Lord Wrath descends. He remembers clearly that this Demon Lord was the one responsible for everything that followed. Wrath is the one who opens the gates of hell, and after that the other Demon Lords follow one after another into the human world. Our hero decides that he must find the place where Demon Lord Wrath will appear, and eliminate him before the gates can even be opened. Once he snaps out of his thoughts, Chen focuses on the interface floating beside him, and it now displays his stats clearly. Our hero wonders if this is some kind of game menu or system since he never had anything like this in his first life. Back then, he had only relied on his awakened power, something only 1 in 10,000 people got. The National Awakener University is meant to recruit such potential awakeners, but unfortunately when Chen was here the last time, he had completely failed to awaken. At that time he had grown used to being bullied, which explains why he had woken up in the infirmary like this. Just then, the system opens another panel and shows him a lightning-type assassin card, which he instantly recognizes as the class he had obtained in his previous life. The boy gets startled and wonders if he has awakened earlier this time. He quickly decides to test it out, but before he can finish switching to the class, his roommate and friend Ma Long shows up, who is an E-ranked flower chanter. The poor guy has bandages on his cheek and has come to check whether Chen is okay. Luckily, Long cannot see the floating panels, which makes Chen certain that only he is able to see them. His friend starts examining him closely after noticing that all of Chen's injuries have already disappeared, and he wonders how a non-awakener is recovering faster than someone like him who is already awakened. Our boy remembers Long from his previous life. This same roommate had managed to awaken during university, yet he had ended up as one of the weakest awakeners, and was murdered miserably on the 3rd day after Wrath's descent. Chen smiles quietly as he looks at his old pal again. Long then reminds him that their rank test is scheduled for tomorrow and that they both need to get ready for it. Long feels bad for our boy, thinking he still has not awakened yet, but he reminds him that this rank test is extremely important if he wants to graduate. As they walk through the lively streets, Chen casually comments that it has been a long time since he has seen so many people around, which ends up scaring the hell out of his roommate. Chen keeps thinking that if he does nothing in this life, they are all going to face the same miserable future again. Because of that, he decides that he needs to train as hard as possible and raise his level quickly. However, there's another problem, since at this point in time the only way for an awakener to gain experience and level up is by defeating monsters inside demon lairs. These lairs are completely controlled by the major guilds, which means weak people or outsiders like him have almost no chance to level up at all. He opens his status window and studies his stats, wondering where he stands compared to other Awakeners, and even the monsters themselves. The government has classified Awakeners into ranks starting from E and going all the way up to S class. Chen knows that most students in the university are stuck at E rank, with only a few barely reaching D rank at best. He glances at his friend and quietly mocks him in his head, feeling at least confident that he ranks higher than him. Just then, a ball suddenly flies in and smacks straight into the poor nerd, knocking off his glasses and sending them shattering. It turns out they have once again run into the bully Gong Chung and his lackeys, the same guys who beat them up just the day before. Chung smirks and asks the nerd why he did not bring him crates of drinks when he already knew he was paying here. Long quickly apologizes and is about to go buy the drinks with his own money, but Chen steps in and stops him, saying that the one who should be apologizing here is actually Chung. The moment he sees the bully again, Chen is pulled back into the painful memories from his past. Back then they used to try and drown him in sink water, and instead of feeling any guilt, they would say they were just forcing him to awaken. That day they only stopped when Chen finally passed out. Long had rushed to check on him at that time, but the moment Chung heard Chen say anything, he came back just to hurt him even more. Now back in the present, Chen has made up his mind to teach these bullies a proper lesson. After hearing Chen speak up, Chung and his lackeys start moving in again, clearly ready to shut him up for good. Our hero looks straight at Chung, knowing well that this guy only picks on the weak because his older brother is a big shot as the student council president. As the bully steps closer, the students around them begin to gather, already feeling pity for Chen as they expect him to get beaten up again. When Chung reaches him, he asks once more what Chen had just said, but Chen calmly repeats that he should stop bothering them from now on. Hearing this, Chung loses his temper and immediately throws a punch at him. This time though, Chen raises his fist and blocks the attack with ease, even pushing the bully back. Everyone around them is left shocked because as far as they know Chen has not even awakened, yet he just stopped a strong attack like it was nothing. Chung grows even more furious and rushes in again, while Chen calmly prepares himself and switches his class to Electric Assassin. Long stands there stunned, while Chung activates his indestructible demon armor and charges forward with a heavy strike. Before he can even get close, Chen dashes in first and smashes him away with a lightning-charged punch. Everyone around cannot believe their eyes as the so-called weakling Chen sends the school bully flying with a single punch. Even after getting beaten this badly, Chung refuses to calm down and shouts at his minions to step in and take revenge for him. Meanwhile, his lackeys are already shaken after seeing what Chen just did. Chung forces himself back on his feet and charges at our hero again, but once more he gets beaten down and slammed away without any chance. Watching their so-called boss get crushed like this, the lackeys quickly realize they stand no chance at all and immediately run off. The poor nerd who witnesses all of this is left completely stunned, unable to close his mouth as he struggles to accept that his roommate who got beaten just yesterday has suddenly become this strong. Chen, on the other hand, realizes that just like in his past life, he can switch into his assassin state whenever he wants, and even at level 1 his stats are enough to handle low-level awakeners, which means his current rank should be at least D. But there is still one thing he has not confirmed yet. Even after defeating someone, the system has not given him any level up. Thinking about this, Chen almost goes ahead to finish the bully completely while everyone around watches in panic. Just at the final moment, the vice president of the student council, Ling Yu, steps in and tells Chen to stop. She reminds him that even if Chung was at fault, this level of beating is already more than enough. She assures him that the bully will not dare to trouble him again, and because of that, our hero finally decides to let him go. As he backs off, Chen starts wondering why the student council is this eager to step in and save someone like Chung, even though he was merely putting up an act and didn't actually mean to murder him. He knows that people like these bullies need to be punished properly, otherwise they will keep targeting anyone weaker than them again and again. Chen then walks away with his roommate, while the bully's lackeys watch him from a distance, hiding and talking among themselves that they should never even think about provoking Chen again. That night, while Long tries to tell the other roommates how Chen has awakened into a ridiculously strong lightning assassin, none of them take his words seriously. Long keeps explaining how their once weak friend managed to beat Chung so badly, but Xiang Zuo, who is an E-ranked nucleus mage, treats it like a joke. Zuo questions that if Chen has really become such a big shot, then why is he still running around training like this? He argues that if someone is a real awakener, they would not need to rely on such basic physical training anymore. Hearing this, the gamer roommate Xiang Yu comments that from what he is hearing, it sounds like Long must have taken a serious hit to the head. Zuo continues going on, saying that the four of them are placed in this dorm because they are the weakest at the bottom, and no matter what they do, that fact is not going to change. He further claims that he himself is the strongest among the four, while Long and Yu are just support chanters. He flexes a little while telling himself there is no way Chen could have become a lightning assassin. He feels more confident than ever, and hopes that he might even rank up during the final test before their graduation tomorrow. Meanwhile, the student council president Gong Ting walks out after finishing a training session in an E-ranked demon lair, along with Ling Yu. He notices his younger brother still standing there and asks what he is doing. Chung complains that as long as the person who beat him is still around, he cannot even sleep peacefully. Chung keeps pushing his brother, trying to convince him that he must take revenge for him. Ting calmly assures him that he will handle the mess he has created. Later at the dining table, the vice president asks Ting how he plans to deal with this situation, and Ting asks her whether the boy is really as strong as his brother is claiming. Ling Yu points out that he already knows there are fewer than 10 D-ranked students in the entire school, and he has already recruited all of them into his club. She further explains that others do not even have access to demon lairs like he does, which means no average guy should be able to stand against him. On the other side, Chen keeps running like crazy while getting drenched in the rain. He sets a target of running 20 full kilometers, while carrying a bag loaded with 100 kilos, almost twice his own weight. He understands how important basic training is to raise the upper limit of an awakener's strength, since a stronger body is needed to handle high-level powers. As he runs, he recalls how his only family, his sister, was killed when the Demon King Wrath descended into the human world. The Demon Lord slaughtered countless humans in an instant, and his sister died right in front of him. He sets defeating this Demon King as his first goal, since that moment was the beginning of all the destruction. Chen keeps thinking that if the Demon Lord is already growing stronger, even though there are still 3 years left before his arrival, then he needs to outpace that growth if he wants any chance of winning. Just then, his sister Si-Yoon calls him. Hearing her voice again after so long leaves him completely silent for a moment. His sister explains that she could not call earlier because she was busy with a competition, and she adds that their rent problem might be solved if she manages to win a prize. While she keeps talking, Chen quietly listens and smiles, feeling a strong resolve to protect her and give her the life she deserves this time. After the call ends, he returns to his training and completes 3 more laps around the university. Once he is done, he heads straight for a shower, feeling that he is slowly getting used to this younger body that holds strong potential for growth. He sits down and starts thinking about the demon lairs which only the rich can access. To grow stronger, he knows he will need to defeat monsters somehow. While he is stuck on this problem, he eventually falls asleep and finds himself pulled into the gluttony system. He lands in a strange place and starts wondering if this is just some kind of weird dream. Meanwhile, back outside, Long comes looking for Chen and wonders where he has suddenly disappeared. Inside that strange space, Chen sees a massive tower standing in front of him, but before he can properly take it in, a group of E-ranked cloud warriors, the Death Hounds, appear as if to greet him. Chen immediately worries that he might have somehow entered a demon lair and quickly switches his class. He decides to deal with the monsters first, and figure everything else out later since they have appeared out of nowhere. The boy easily takes down the hounds that are all bark and no bite and collects items from them. He quickly levels up to 2 and smiles, thinking he might have gotten lucky and stumbled into a demon lair. Just then, a boss monster appears, and Chen defeats it just as easily, cutting through it like it is nothing, which lets him level up again. The experience points he gains from the boss are much higher compared to the normal mobs of the same level that he defeated earlier. Right after that, the boss monster's body gets marked as devourable, making Chen wonder what that even means. He recalls the gluttony power he saw earlier in the system panel and reaches out his hand to test it. The devouring completes instantly, and the monster gets absorbed into a card. Chen is left stunned as he realizes he can turn defeated monsters into usable classes. He quickly understands that this is the same kind of ability the Demon Lord Lan Yu had, and the thought that he now holds a power similar to that of a demon lord leaves him shaken. Naturally, in this world, everyone is born with only a single class, apart from some who could have 2, but now Chen could hold as many classes as he wanted. He wonders what he did to gain this kind of insane power, and what the demonic tower standing in front of him really is. As all these questions pile up in his mind, a strong sensation hits him, and a demon appears holding 2 S-ranked blades in its hands. The demon is clearly S-rank, which means Chen has no real chance of defeating it. Chen knows he is badly outmatched, yet he summons a lightning sword to put up a fight as a gamble to save his life. Another strange part is that for some reason the demon standing before him even knows his name. As time passes, the demon trades blows with Chen, although it is clear that all it is doing is toying with him. The demon deliberately avoids hitting vital points and keeps knocking him down again and again. After pushing Chen to his limit, the demon finally speaks and offers him the option to stay and guard the demonic tower with it if he wants to survive. When Chen still refuses, the demon slashes brutally at his arm. It threatens to finish him and explains that it has gone easy all this time, only because Chen is the only one capable of reaching this place. The demon asks him once more to reconsider, but Chen does not lose hope and refuses again, regardless of the danger he is putting himself in. He shouts as he charges himself, determined to finish it, and attacks again. All this time, he has been studying the demon's movements and has learned about the 0.4 second wind-up before each swing. He knows he can use that small time window to carefully observe the angle of the monster's wrist and dodge the attack just in time. Furthermore, he has discovered a 0.2 second recovery lag that might give him a small but critical opening while the demon is defenseless, and he plans to use that precise moment to aim for its heart. Even though he manages to pull off this risky maneuver, he fully realizes that a D rank like him could not completely defeat an S rank. So his main goal is to paralyze the demon just long enough to create an opportunity to escape. He does exactly that, and then rushes toward the only light source he can see, hoping it might be an actual exit from this place. However, just as he reaches the source, it suddenly vanishes, and the demon informs him that it was merely an illusion, and that the exit he had been thinking about does not exist anywhere in this place. The demon further explains that this palace is not actually a demon lair at all, yet he expresses appreciation for how quickly the boy was able to identify flaws in his attacks. The demon is finally revealed as the Purgatory Rakshasa, and comments to Chen that he is indeed the one who can bring hope. As Chen carefully studies the demon's body, he realizes with a start that he has seen this exact appearance before on the demon lord Lan Yu. Our hero flashes back to the battle where everything finally came to an end. The last fight he fought before the regression, his opponent was no ordinary demon. During their clash, the creature first transformed into a dragon, then repeatedly switched its class into other terrifying high-tier monsters. It wielded scorching magma, poisonous vines, and lightning even more powerful than his own. Out of all those transformations, however, the one that truly caught his attention was the form that looked exactly like the demon standing before him now. A chilling realization strikes him. Every single transformation must have been part of Demon King Lan Yu's ability. Since that power rests within him, the demon he sees right now is simply the power of gluttony absorbed inside his body. His sharp deduction genuinely impresses the demon. It calmly states that he truly is worthy of inheriting the power that exists within this entire dimension. Chen frowns, confused about what it means by everything in the dimension. Suddenly, a golden void key materializes in the demon's hand. It is the only way for someone to enter and leave the giant tower behind him. The demon explains that Demon King Lan Yu devoured an uncountable number of powerful monsters. Guarding the tower that seals the most indomitable among them was its sacred duty. Yet now, it chooses to hand that very key over to him. Rakshasa wishes for him to devour those demons, grow stronger, and carry out the mission in its place. Perplexed, Chen asks why a demon would ever help a human. In response, the creature reveals that even within the demon realm, there are righteous beings and vile ones. One such monster slaughtered its entire clan purely for amusement, like a twisted massacre done for entertainment. Since that day, it has waited for a chance to take revenge on that evil bastard. Now, it believes it has found the one capable of granting that wish. It tells our boy that someone was right about him being their best hope for vengeance. Chen immediately asks who that person is. The demon only replies that all answers await inside the tower, speaking in a cryptic tone like some ancient sage. With its final words, it offers up all of its remaining energy to him. In return, the demon informs him that he must rise to become the strongest human walking the planet. It will not be an easy task to devour every single one of those ferocious beasts lurking inside the tower. Against him, each of those cunning creatures will still be a tremendous challenge to overcome. The demon delivers its final warning, declaring that only someone with an unyielding hunger to grow stronger deserves Purgatory Rakshasa's power. That is the motivation required to slaughter every demon king in existence. With that, his body compresses into a blazing sphere of energy for Chen to consume. He immediately shoots up 8 levels and acquires 2 of Rakshasa's swords. Without hesitation, he accepts the mission, vowing to carry out the fallen Star Warrior's final wish as promised. On top of the stat boosts, he unlocks the ability to absorb power from dead humans and demons alike, along with gravity manipulation. By morning, he slowly opens his eyes, waking inside the dorm like any other normal day. He suddenly bolts upright when a loud voice echoes through the room. His roommates are already preparing and tell him to get moving too if he plans on reaching school in time. When he notices his body is completely unharmed and intact, he questions whether everything he experienced was only some bizarre dream. However, his updated stats confirm that is not the case at all. Everything he witnessed carried over. After jumping from level 2 to level 10 overnight, he cannot help but wonder what rank he now holds. Just then, his roommate begins poking fun at him. He brings up how a certain someone was shamelessly praising him the other night, going on about how cool and insanely powerful he supposedly became. Ma Long quietly peeks from across the room, pretending like he had nothing to do with it. Either way, his roommate challenges him to prove during the ranking assessment. That will decide who is strong enough to keep the title of Dorm King. While heading to school, the self-proclaimed Dorm King proudly educates his so-called subjects that every rank is divided into 3 separate tiers. So even though they are all technically E-rank peasants, at least he places above the other bottom-tier E-losers as a proud mid-E ranker. He struts around acting superior because the gap between each tier is supposedly enormous. Fired up and overly confident, the clown claims he feels so ridiculously strong that he must have advanced a tier since their previous assessment. Annoyed as hell, Ma Long tells our boy to stop playing around and go all out, and at least secure a D rank today. That way, the Dorm King might finally shut his non-stop mouth for once. Soon enough, the boys arrive at school, where everyone is anxiously gathered for the ranking ceremony. The bullies stroll in like they own the entire campus, trashing anyone who dares to look at them the wrong way. Even the dorm king's smug grin disappears like his father did, the second he sees them. But just like him, the bullies nearly lose their nerve too. Out of nowhere, they start bowing respectfully to Big Brother Chen without hesitation. His roommates slowly begin to realize that maybe everything Ma Long said was not complete nonsense after all. Our boy ignores the clowns and simply minds his own business. Then, a new challenger decides to step in front of him. The guy who acts as the school police, Student Council Officer Jian, offers him a very polite warning. Apparently, the student council president personally sent him to discipline the idiot who dared raise a hand against his precious little brother. All of Chen's friends immediately scatter and go into hiding. They are terrified of Jian, the enforcer who handles all the dirty work for the student council president. His roommates cannot figure out why the D-rank monster is suddenly targeting our boy like this. He steps right into Chen's personal space. The president's loyal lapdog boasts that his keen sense of smell lets him judge exactly how strong someone is. And right now, all he can smell from him is a pathetic, weak loser. Amused by the insult, our boy flames him back without hesitation. Gene completely loses his mind the moment he gets called a dog. Before a fight actually breaks out, the overgrown pup's master orders him to stand down before they make a public scene. After doing some digging, he discovered that his little brother was the one who started the fight first. Getting beaten up was simply the consequence of punching someone clearly above his size. With that said, the president shoots him a glare sharper than daggers. But our hero is not the slightest bit intimidated. At that moment, a professor announces that the rank assessment ceremony is officially beginning and requests all present students to step forward when their name is called. Hearing that, the president tells his dog they are leaving. He assumes this was a one-time incident, and Chen will not cause any more problems after their intimidation. Watching from high above, a man curiously asks the vice president why she is observing the ranking ceremony today. He wonders if a rookie has caught her interest. The lady smiles faintly, saying this year will be quite interesting. Soon, Shangzhou's name is announced. The dorm king feels slightly nervous as he steps through the door. The atmosphere completely shifts on the other side. You see, the assessment is conducted one by one inside a special demon lair. Inside, a demon heart connected to wires measures an awakener's rank and potential by absorbing their energy. When the awakener unleashes their strongest power, the signal transfers back to Earth, where their assessment result is revealed. The dorm king's rank turns out to be the same as last time. However, the professor looks confused when his potential takes longer than expected to appear. Ma Long stares intensely at the shifting number. After much suspense, Shangzhou's maximum potential is revealed as only C. The king walks out looking dejected, realizing all the progress he thought he made was just in his head. His roommates try to comfort him, saying they are all in the same boat anyway, stuck in E rank with the potential to reach C rank at best. A few moments later, the president's lapdog walks out proudly. He is still lower D rank, but he has the potential to reach A. Chen's roommates begin to lose all hope, since they have seen nearly 10 students reach D rank already. Even the professors are stunned that so many students have reached grade D already. It is rare for students who cannot gain real combat experience to break out of E rank. Excited, they call up the next student, the president who carries everyone's expectations on his shoulders. All eyes turn toward Gong Ting, the student who is already a guildmaster, as he walks onto the stage. Our boy stays calm, however, and patiently waits for the results. Everyone in the academy knows that Gong Ting was only lower D rank 2 years ago. The historical record for the highest grade in the academy was middle D rank, so people wonder if the president will finally raise the bar. Inside the demon lair, the demon heart's eyes slowly open in his presence. The president cannot unleash everything he has. However, he carries a burning desire to go out with a bang at the graduation ceremony, carving his name into the history books as number 1. When the professors see his potential grade glowing gold, they blink in disbelief. Their suspicions are confirmed as Gong Ting's high D rank completely blows them away. Not only that, excitement erupts through the crowd at the sight of the first potential S rank in history. The president's lackeys glaze their boss non-stop. Even Chen's roommates burn with jealousy while watching a legend being born before their eyes. The professors quietly discuss among themselves that the news must be sent immediately to the administration. They need to treat their precious S-rank candidate with the utmost care, making sure he does not leave the country. On top of that, he is the youngest student involved with the guild in the academy. Their school's name is practically guaranteed to dominate the headlines. Observing from above, Principal Yuan Long realizes that Vice Pres Ling Yu already knew about his potential. That is exactly why she came personally to watch the ceremony. However, she spices things up by saying he was not the only one she came to observe today. Besides the flashy president, there is another student she finds far more intriguing. Right on cue, that very student is the next one to be called onto the stage. Jean comes up with a bright idea and decides to taunt the mysterious urban legend, as he urges him not to turn out as another E-rank trash just like his roommates. He says they will become a laughingstock if that ends up happening, and it should count as a disgrace for them to even appear at such a prestigious event in the first place. Long backs up his friend and boldly claims that he will knock everybody's socks off. The crowd stares in pure anticipation as Chen finally enters the demon lair. The demon heart instantly senses intense pressure as Chen approaches, and our hero recalls that the best way for an awakener to secure a solid future is to join a high-ranking guild. He knows that the only path to that goal lies in strong performance during the graduation combat assessment, where candidates must choose members of their liking to form a squad of 10 people. The squad that takes first place receives direct recruitment into the nation's top-tier Imperial Guild, so the purpose of this test stands very clear to everyone watching. Jean begins recruitment and introduces another low-tier D rank to his boss, while he proudly claims that their party now stands fully complete. He explains that they already have all the D ranks along with the president's brother on their team, so there is no possible way for them to lose first place at all. Chen understands that strong students will eventually gather to form the strongest party, while the weakest will also group together in the same way, which creates a brutal environment of survival of the fittest, where weak links get cast out and eliminated without hesitation. After some time passes, Long starts to feel anxious about why the screen shows no change at all, and the crowd quickly assumes that Chen must be so weak that the system fails to even register his presence properly. Chen then convinces Ting that the remaining students are nothing but trash, so they should just leave without wasting more time here. However, right as they prepare to leave, the screen suddenly flickers and reveals a high D rank label, which sends the entire crowd into chaos, while shock spreads across their faces. The president along with the student council also reacts in disbelief at this unexpected result, yet the system soon detects a strange deviation within the results. It turns out that Chen uses the system to calibrate what his level 10 base stats in his unchanged physical form actually translate into during evaluation. After he sees a D rank, he switches class to the Infernal Death King, which stands as his weakest devoured class so far. The rank instantly shifts from high D to mid C, which completely blows the crowd away while the council struggles to believe that the machine still works properly at all. Even the scientists begin to question the situation as they wonder why the results keep changing, and soon they start to suspect that the machine might truly be malfunctioning beyond repair. At that exact moment, an instability appears within the demon heart, and the results deviate once again in a strange manner. Chen notices this and decides to switch to a stronger class, so he becomes the Purgatory Rakshasa. The demon heart becomes anxious, while a violent storm rises outside the demon lair, and Jian shouts in confusion. Sang treats it like a celestial omen that signals history rewriting itself since their dorm has produced a divine monster. In the very next moment, the potential flickers to S rank, which leaves both the scientists and President Ting completely stunned at what they just witnessed. However, the system suddenly displays a warning that the user's potential exceeds its maximum load and remains undetectable under current limits. Jean's brain almost shuts down like a blue screen of death as his soul nearly leaves his body from pure shock. As the system begins to break apart under overwhelming pressure, the scientists rush forward in panic to ensure that no harm reaches the student at any cost. But when they finally arrive, they freeze in disbelief as they find a shriveled raisin sitting where the demon heart once existed, since it burned out completely from extreme overuse. It becomes clear that Chen may have scared it a little too much, yet he still ends up devouring it and gains the ability to view anyone's rank while also receiving warnings about potential dangers nearby. He walks out of the demon lair and feels pleasantly surprised as every person's rank appears before him, but then he quickly notices that the president has hidden his true potential as well and turns out to be nothing more than a mediocre C rank at best. The scientists walk out in an awkward manner and inform everyone that the demon heart has suffered a heart attack due to extreme strain, so they must suspend further testing for now. They label Chen's stats as a probable error and announce that a full report will go to the higher authorities for review. The remaining students receive instructions to return the next day for their assessment, since a new device will be arranged for testing by then, without further issues. On the way back, Chen's roommates start to hype him up and treat him like an absolute gigachad after what he just pulled off in front of everyone. Jean clearly fails to handle the jealousy and calls Chen a fraud, while he demands compensation for breaking the machine and wasting the council's time like a sore loser. Just as Chen reaches his patience limit and prepares to fry the guy on the spot, Ting steps in and calls Jian out immediately. The president warns him not to disrespect their teammate, which shocks Jian on the spot, and then Ting extends his hand as he invites the newly revealed powerhouse to join his team. All the while he confidently promises that together they will achieve the highest score in history without question. Jean starts to have a full mental breakdown in the background because he knows that someone will need to get kicked out of the team to make space for Chen, and this situation will definitely stir trouble with the brothers. According to him, joining Ting's team almost guarantees a first-place finish without any doubt at all, So he begins to question what makes Chen so special when other people could not even bribe their way into this lineup despite all their efforts. He forces himself to swallow his pride and reluctantly welcomes Chen to the team as he places a hand on the hero's shoulder with visible hesitation. Chen immediately slaps his hand away and firmly states that he has zero interest in joining them at all. This response makes Jian sweat bullets while Ting simply watches the entire exchange in silence without any reaction. Jean snaps at Chen and claims that he has no idea what he is doing since their team already ranks #1 in the whole school without competition. Chen turns his back and walks off as he says it has nothing to do with them, and he calls their entire group too noisy to deal with for even a moment. He tells them not to bother him again, and Jian starts to boil with anger and pure contempt right after that humiliating dismissal. The entire school quickly begins to gossip about Chen's refusal, and most assume that he plans to take first place all for himself after that mid-tier C rank reveal. The whole school now gets a perfect show to enjoy as drama starts to unfold in real time. Meanwhile, Chen's roommates fully enjoy the look of complete humiliation that spreads across Jian and Ting's faces after that public rejection without mercy. The president calmly tells Jian not to worry if Chen has his own plans, while he keeps his composure intact. At the same time, the principal, who had been watching the whole ordeal, lets out a deep sigh of disappointment since the boys refused to team up as he originally hoped. He wanted them to cooperate and break a new school record together, but Ling insists that the situation becomes far more interesting this way instead. She explains that Ting grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, so this kind of refusal will register as a direct declaration of war in his mind without any doubt. She reminds the principal that their president is not someone easy to deal with under any circumstances once his pride takes a hit like this. Jean continues to complain and claims that Chen has an inflated ego just because of a test error that showed a C rank, but Ting hints at the possibility that the result might not be wrong at all. He admits that even if the chances seem almost non-existent, he still cannot allow anyone to take his first place away from him under any condition. Jean then recalls that Chen likely stands as a normal student with no real combat experience at all, while the council members remain elitists who have secretly trained inside a demon lair for a long time to reach their current level. He suggests that he should personally go and teach Chen a lesson for his insolence, but Ting cuts off that line of thought and asks if their president really seems petty enough to act like that. Jean immediately realizes his mistake and offers an apology, while Ting cancels their karaoke plan and tells Jian to handle everything on his own without further guidance. He adds in a cold tone that whatever Jian chooses to do has nothing to do with him, and Jian understands the message right away without needing further explanation. About 10 minutes later, an informant approaches Jian and reports that Chen has already left the school after he mentioned that he needed to go home for a while. He also explains that Chen walked out without even stopping to eat, which makes the situation even more convenient. Jean treats this as divine intervention and starts to feel excited at the chance to deal with him ruthlessly on unfamiliar ground where no one can interfere. As Chen walks across the street, he recalls that in his previous life a peak guild once faced a disaster while they tried to conquer a demon lair within the territory of St. He country. Inside that lair, they encountered a never-before-seen monster known as Wrath, which led to immediate annihilation of the entire peak team without any resistance. The monster then escaped into the human world and caused massive destruction everywhere, and although that memory remains incomplete, Chen stays determined and forms a plan to locate that same demon lair in this life. To begin this plan, Chen needs a large amount of money, so he heads toward the Mithril Monster Exchange Center without any hesitation. He recalls that this exchange center under the Mithril Guild later becomes the largest material trading hub in the entire country in the future timeline. In this world, the strength of an awakener gets judged based on the quality of equipment and weapons they possess, and the exchange acts as a crucial link for buying and selling such items. However, for Chen, this place simply serves as a quick and easy method to earn some money for now, before he moves on with his bigger goals. So he walks right in and presents a few fangs to the broker, who examines them with intense scrutiny and clear suspicion. He asks how a student like him managed to obtain such an item, so Chen calmly explains that it dropped from a monster he defeated earlier. The broker reacts with surprise and claims he has never seen such an item before, but his assistant steps in and explains that the fangs come from E-class monsters called Beast Sangson. She recalls that records mention these fangs can craft an E-grade cloud-type scepter, or they can be ground into powder for various uses. The arrogant broker cuts her off and drops the fang back on the table as he claims that an E-grade item has very limited value anyway. He begins to brag that their exchange operates as a VIP system, where they deal only with awakeners who have identity and high status in society. He states that he only handles D-grade items and above, and uses that as justification for not recognizing such a low-tier E-grade item at all. In his mind, he complains about the lack of high-grade customers lately, and sees no benefit in dealing with someone low tier since it will not help his promotion chances. He calls the whole situation a nuisance and tosses the responsibility toward his assistant Lee without another thought as he steps aside. She politely hands Chen an envelope of cash and asks if he requires help with anything else beyond this transaction. Chen checks the amount of 18 grand and decides it will handle his rent problems for now without much stress. He then takes out the glowing greatsword that he obtained from the Purgatory Rakshasa, which immediately captures her full attention. Although she has never seen anything like it before, she estimates that it must be at least a B-grade item, or possibly even an A-grade one at best. The broker walks back in with raised brows and dismisses her claim as pure fantasy since A-grade items usually cost around 1 million. He argues that he has worked there for many years and has never witnessed anything even close to an A-grade item in reality. At that moment, the shop owner arrives and calmly states that the item presented here is neither A-grade nor B-grade at all. The broker praises his boss's sharp judgment and claims he already knew that a mere student could never possess something of high value like that. However, the owner explains that the weapon clearly originates from the Purgatory lands and reveals that it is actually an S-grade item. Both the broker and the assistant almost suffer a system meltdown after hearing that shocking revelation, as their expressions freeze in disbelief. The owner immediately grabs Chen's hands and warmly welcomes him as an honored guest with utmost respect. He then invites Chen to follow him into the VIP room and encourages him to make any request he desires without hesitation. Meanwhile, Chen feels satisfied as he finally sees that the owner Qingzhi has revealed himself just as expected. After settling down in the VIP room, the guild boss asks him how much he wants to sell the weapon for. Our boy immediately answers with 1 million, which surprises the green-haired guy. The boss tells him it could fetch at least tens of millions, since it is extremely valuable. However, Chen tells him that he simply wishes to use the great sword as collateral for a $1 million loan for a month. That makes the man even more flabbergasted, as he realizes our boy is extremely smart and wonders who exactly he is. Chen continues, saying he will pay the capital amount in 30 days and the additional interest the month after. Before answering, the guild boss tells the girl to step outside so the grown-ups can discuss business. After the coast is clear, the man states that he knows Chen is from the National Awakener University, whose seniors are about to graduate. He continues, saying that he knows the graduation test will take place in 30 days and that the reward will be 1 million. The guy then directly asks our hero if he is completely sure he will ace that test. The guild boss then pulls out his Sherlock side and realizes that Chen is in dire need of money and would not be here unless it was his last option. In the end, he declares that he will lend him 1.5 million immediately, with absolutely no interest. Putting his hand forward, he smiles and says that this will be the start of a beautiful friendship. Chen is left speechless by the display, and the man even reassures him that he will not let a single word leak out from this room. He simply asks that in return, our boy should come to this guild whenever he wants to trade something else. Chen thinks to himself that this man managed to figure everything out so easily, yet still did not try to scam him. He now understands why the guild boss becomes a big shot in the future. Our boy then shakes his hand while thinking that he needs strong allies if he ever wants to defeat the Demon Lord. A few moments later, the contract is completed, and the money is sent to his account instantly. The guild boss then asks if he needs to borrow a weapon for the tournament since he just gave his away. Even though he does not have any S-rank gear, he still has plenty of high-quality A-rank equipment to choose from. Chen tells him not to worry, then simply summons the other greatsword he obtained earlier, leaving the guild members completely blown away. With that, our boy takes his leave, while the guild boss immediately promotes the pink-haired girl to supervisor for securing such a high-level client. Before Chen leaves, he realizes that he forgot to buy something and turns back toward the counter. A few hours later, he is now standing in front of a bus stop. He recalls that in his previous life, he struggled a lot to get to the top and people treated him like trash. He worked endless shifts just to make ends meet, and the two siblings had to live almost like homeless people to make it through each month. Yun managed to get into her dream university back then, but she gave it up and told herself the campus was too far from her dear brother. But in reality, she was afraid of putting more financial burden on him. Coming back to the present, he wonders why she has not shown up yet and starts looking around. Just then, a voice calls out to him, calling him stupid for searching near the entrance instead of the exit. Pulling along her huge suitcase, she tells him they are broke again because the rent drained everything. However, our boy just stands there in complete shock, since it has been 7 years since he last saw her. She tells him to help her with her stuff. Getting no response, she waves her hand in front of him, trying to snap him out of it. At that moment, Chen suddenly rushes forward and hugs her tightly, catching her by surprise. After a few awkward moments, she uses the forbidden poking technique to break free from his grip, while she lectures him for nearly suffocating her. She tells him he has been acting pretty sus lately and wonders if his crush has finally rejected him, but he brushes it off. The two then start walking while she continues to yap about her exams. Even so, Chen feels more than happy to listen to everything, telling himself he will never let anything happen to her in this life. Meanwhile, in an alleyway, a few thugs wait around for something. After confirming that our hero will pass through here, Jian tells his goons to stay low until their target shows up, then ambush him together. Getting a crazy smile on his face, he tells himself that he will definitely punish the guy for what he did. One of the thugs asks him if they would get in trouble if the situation escalates from here. The Cloud Assassin tells him that he initially wanted to teach that guy a lesson, but his recent encounter has really pissed him off. Recalling how Chen humiliated him, he tells the trash bags to leave something for him and swears that he will teach our hero a lesson that he will not forget. Jean goes off about how he is the best cloud assassin there is, and starts drooling as he imagines the look on his target's face. Coming back to our hero, Yun reminds him that he has been acting really strange and wonders if it is because of the exams. She plays it off and says that a weakling like him should not think too much about it. The sister reminds him that he always told her to keep going no matter what, and leave the rest to fate. Trying to lift his spirits, she starts singing a motivational song as they walk into the alley. Chen feels pleasantly surprised that she managed to notice that he changed so easily, but realizes that she does not know that he has awakened his powers and has become rich. Hearing his confident reply that he is fine, she wonders if it is just his male pride speaking. Yoon shakes her head while she thinks that her brother is finally becoming a man. Meanwhile, in the distance, one of the thugs tells Jian that there is a girl with their target. That makes the guy extremely excited since the alley has no cameras, and Chris Hansen cannot catch them. However, our boy instantly senses the evil intentions and realizes that it is those same scumbags from the student council. Taking out some off-brand AirPods, he places them in his sister's ears and tells her to listen to a song he recently started to enjoy that catches her off guard since he never listens to music, but she decides to go along with it to understand him better. He then turns around and stares daggers at the scumbags who are slowly advancing. While the music plays in the background, the fight finally begins as the thugs rush forward. Chen immediately switches to his lightning class and recalls that it has been 7 years since he lost his only family and only now, just reunited with her. Filled with anger, he wonders from which magician's hat these guys pulled their audacity from and dashes forward like a bolt of lightning. Our hero smashes his leg into the first one and sends him flying back while the others start sweating. He then charges his fist and delivers free knuckle sandwiches to 3 in a row before finishing the 4th one with a brutal knee strike. One brave trash bag tries to attack, but Chen simply grabs his hand and breaks it like spaghetti. The guy screams in pain only to receive a quarter-pounder fist straight to his nose. Seeing his comrades get thrown around, Jian freezes in shock and wonders how the hell did our boy become so strong. Chen does not stop there and continues to throw haymakers left and right as he makes his way toward the Cloud Assassin. As he finally reaches him, Jian tries to gaslight himself into believing that he is the strongest assassin there is, and that he cannot lose. Being the good Samaritan he is, our hero brings him back to reality with a devastating punch that sends him flying back. However, he does not stop there as he rushes forward and unleashes a combo of punches that knocks several teeth loose. The Cloud Assassin rolls across the ground like a tumbleweed on steroids and crashes into a wall. He tries to open his eyes only to see the devil himself staring right at him. Our hero then looks down at Jian, now stripped of his dignity, and reminds him that he already told the piece of trash to stay away from him. Staring straight into his soul, he asks the brainless scum if he cannot even understand basic human speech. The guy beaten beyond recognition cannot even feel his legs, and half the bones in his body are broken. Realizing he messed with the wrong MF, he barely manages to mumble out an apology. Chen shuts him up by grabbing his collar and pressing a dagger right against his face. Mr. Top Assassin sees it clearly in his eyes. There is absolutely zero hesitation to kill. He does not have the aura of a normal student at all. Jean cannot help but wonder what kind of hell could turn a man into a monster like Chen. With cold malice, he tells the guy to remember his words carefully if he does not want a repeat of this nightmare. He will not hesitate to tear them apart the next time they try anything stupid again. That is his final warning to them. Then he adds one more thing for emphasis. If they so much as step within a mile of his sister, he will gladly erase everyone close to them one by one. After that, he drops the dagger and walks back to Yuni's side before the song even finishes playing. By the end of it, his sister is overwhelmed with emotion. She is moved to tears by the sad and painfully lonely lyrics. She cries, confused about what her brother went through that changed him so much over the years. She even wonders if her support back then was somehow not enough. Determined, she spins around to scold him properly, but she freezes mid-sentence the instant she notices the gift in his hand. The shiny gold-plated pen she always dreamed of owning is right there in front of her eyes. Yun blushes bright red with excitement. She can hardly believe her brother bought her the newest holographic magic pen that costs more than their monthly rent. Her adorable reaction warms his heart. Her face makes it obvious she does not want to return it, even if that is the responsible thing when they are behind on rent. Hiding his fist behind his back, Chen silently swears to protect his sister's smile this time and make sure she enters her dream school. Back at home, his sister happily spends hours making holographic drawings in the air. Big Brother quietly enjoys her homemade ramen and says he is glad she is happy with the gift. Even so, she still worries about him spending so much on her when they do not even have next month's rent covered. He flashes her a proud smile and reveals that their rent for a whole year is already covered. Big Brother brags that his little business venture with a friend has been doing great lately, but Yoon Yoon is sharp and shoots him a highly sus stare. She is clearly not buying his convenient business story. With that said, she does not push him further. She cannot even remember how much time has passed since her big brother laughed so openly like this. She gently pats him on the shoulder and makes one simple request. Whatever he is secretly doing, he needs to make sure he does not burn himself out. Meanwhile, at a quiet aquarium, the President Ting shares some shocking news with his cousin. The best doctors in the city have declared that Mr. Top Assassin is critically injured beyond recovery. Over half the bones in his body are shattered beyond proper repair. Him fighting Chen was already something the president did not expect. But the horrifying condition of his body after the fight is even more shocking. His cousin reacts coldly. She is only disappointed that the number of strong graduate students joining his team will now be lower. But the president is just as ruthless, replying he will actually perform better without that burdensome NPC weighing him down. Then, their uncle and the academy's director of employment speaks up. Gongxuan calmly delivers his report on our hero's recent move. His detailed investigation regarding the chaos from the ranking ceremony has finally arrived. There is no doubt about the results, and Chen truly ranks higher than the student council president. That revelation catches the former top student completely off guard. The man then offers him a serious word of advice, saying his father personally requested a vice chairman of the alliance to evaluate his combat exam performance, so he must ensure he shines the brightest among them all. In case he somehow fails to do so, the director proposes an alternative solution. The green-haired girl who is his uncle's favorite niece will help his team secure first place overall. But the council president flatly refuses the offer without hesitation. He claims he did not even display his true strength during the assessment. President Ting is more than confident in his overwhelming superiority and assures them he will dominate the entire academy alone. Back at the academy dorms, our boy washes off after finishing his daily 100-mile run with weights in his backpack. He is completely locked in on one goal, and that is winning the $1 million prize in the upcoming graduation exam. It is his only real shot at fulfilling his deal with the Mithril Guild's Qingji and building a mutually beneficial trade relationship with them. With only a few weeks left until the exam, he lies down in bed, not to rest, but to keep grinding even in his sleep. He enters his demon lair, with Demon King Lan Yu's enormous void tower standing before him. He climbs the long staircase leading to the entrance without any hesitation. His first assessment with the Gravehound King's class reached a respectable mid-C rank. On the other hand, the overwhelming strength of his Abyssal Fiend class completely overloaded the system. Even the Demon Heart itself was unable to properly classify its true potential. The only way to evaluate his remaining classes becomes obvious to him. He unlocks the Void Tower and decides to test their raw power directly on the battlefield. He steps inside, curious about what kind of brutal challenge the tower will throw at him. What he sees within widens his eyes in shock. He finds himself transported to a strange dimension where he stands atop a massive white planet floating in space. The moment he takes his very first step, he immediately drops to one knee, barely holding his body upright. In the fallen star wastes, gravity is 10 times stronger than Earth, and Chen feels the crushing pressure deep in his bones. Behind him, the tower entrance completely vanishes. He already understands that this means he must defeat the boss to reopen the exit. Before any lethal beasts can ambush him, he needs to adapt and overcome quickly. However, a phantom lion prowling nearby for prey does not seem willing to grant him that luxury. Left with no other choice, Chen switches to his lightning class instantly. The lion lunges straight at him, yet he narrowly dodges and drives a precise stab into its shoulder. The beast roars in fury, but the strike proves ineffective since it misses any vital point. He quickly realizes his attacks are just as sluggish and imprecise as his current ability to even move properly. The phantom lion easily pins him to the ground and goes to bite into him like a taco, showing just how well these monsters have adapted to the extreme gravity. He lets the lion nibble at his arm for a moment, then quickly switches his class to the Abyssal Fiend. The change instantly provides a different type of stat boost. In exchange for some speed, he gains significant strength and stamina, which are crucial for close combat situations like this. His class change slams the aggressive puppy down and immediately flips the fight in his favor. Rakshasa's ability to manipulate gravity proves invaluable. On a planet with 10 Gs, a 3-time multiplier hits with brutal force. In that instant, the lion roars furiously, but Chen shows no mercy, crushing the phantom lion into the planet's surface. Afterwards, he sprawls out across the floor to catch his breath. Gluttony surprises him with a well-deserved level-up notification. It is then explained that every class receives a star rating. The number of stars indicates how much the stats change when switching to that class. Purgatory Rakshasa has the most stars of all his available classes. Despite that advantage, he just fought for his life against a B-rank phantom lion in this class. It becomes clear he has a long way to go before reaching its potential SSS rank. Next, he is annoyed to see that gluttony does not even give him the option to devour the creature. This monster was also clearly not the floor boss, since an exit should appear once he defeats the actual boss. Just then, a massive door opens behind him. Dozens of glowing eyes peer out from the darkness. Reality hits him like a truck. All the effort it took to defeat a single phantom lion is nothing compared to what is coming next. Countless B-rank monsters pour out of the door, clawing and mauling him from every direction. Only now does he fully understand what Rakshasa warned him about. The demon said there are ruthless beasts within the tower, and that his path would be paved with endless pain and suffering. But the demon also instructed him to endure everything, to adapt and grow stronger. Soon, Chen jolts awake from his sleep, feeling as if he just survived the worst nightmare of his life. Everyone else in the room remains deep in sleep, completely unaware that he just experienced the agony of having his flesh torn apart by monsters. Our hero finally realizes that the Purgatory's Void Tower is not some shortcut to instant leveling. He is only at the very start of a long, grueling, and painful journey. Weeks pass by until it is finally time for the Academy's graduation exam. Many VIPs are there to observe the promising new batch of students. New minimum requirements are also announced for team composition, where at least one high E-rank student must be included in each party. The moment for forming teams arrives, and it is declared that all students can now see each other's ranks. This allows everyone to quickly decide who to recruit for their party. The students are arranged in order of rank, from the highest to the lowest. But Ma Long immediately notices something odd. Chen himself is confused to see his name sitting all the way at the very bottom. All eyes turn to him as the others wonder how a near-grade C awakener could possibly be at the lowest spot in the class. The jealous students immediately start talking trash, confident that his high rank was a fault in the assessment. Still, even they cannot deny that his strength is real, and having him on their team would definitely boost their scores. Council President Ting remains silent as murmurs circulate about the fool who must be regretting his choice to reject the president's kind offer. The man behind this scheme is his own uncle Gong Xuan. The bastard assumed no one would invite our boy to their party, after seeing him ranked at the very bottom. His evil plan was simple. If Chen can't even qualify, he will not get a shot at beating the president's party. Moving back to just a few hours ago, the entire classroom practically begs President Ting to let them join his team. They try their best to suck up to him, but Chung shuts them down and says that they can only add one more person. Coming back to the present, all the other students form their own teams, leaving only the weakest dorm behind. Long states that they tried asking everyone but no one wants to join them. Since they only have 4 people right now, they cannot take part in the graduation test. He then rants that it is extremely suspicious that Chen's score was moved to the lowest rank, which makes him unfit to even take part. Since the selection criteria require at least one high-level E rank, it feels like their group was targeted on purpose. The graduation test is the only way students can showcase their talent and get scouted by high-level guilds. In the final test, the number of participants determines how many monsters the group will face, so there is no advantage in numbers. That is why no one wants anything to do with the weaklings, since that would only add an extra burden. To make things worse, the 3 lowest-ranked students are all from the same dorm, making them completely isolated. Just then, one student calls out to Zuo and tells him that they are only missing one person. The guy tries to gaslight him, saying he surely does not plan to fail the graduation test by teaming up with his weak dorm mates. Chen realizes that if this keeps going, there is a high chance they will all be left out and will not even get to compete. However, the dorm king rejects their offer and says that he will never abandon his roommates. That makes the other group leave in anger, but he still lectures them not to underestimate others. Checking the student list, Long announces that nearly everyone has already formed their teams. They only need one more person, but no one is willing to join them. Meanwhile, our boy stares at the director and realizes that the guy shares the same family name as the student council president. Seeing such underhanded moves, Chen wonders if Gong Xuan really thinks he is that big of a threat. Not losing hope, he declares that he will definitely take part in the tournament and activates his lightning ability. Since the others are being so open about their hostility, he tells himself he does not need to hold back either. Aura farming like a pro, he steps forward while the officials in charge are surprised by the sudden display of power. Even his dorm mates begin to wonder what is going on. Our hero recalls that all Awakener schools have a special custom. To create a competitive environment, students can challenge anyone at any time. Even though it may look like showing off, this is a way to display one's strength and get recognized. In situations like this, many people would refuse to fight in the first place. However, he knows that the student council president will not back down, so as long as he defeats the blonde, everyone will want to team up with him. Just then, a girl appears at the door and calls out to our hero, asking if he still needs someone on his team. She continues and says that she also wants to take part in this year's graduation test. The vice president adds that she reached D rank back in middle school, so she will not disappoint him. His dorm mates start going crazy, wondering how he even managed to get such a beautiful girl on his side. Chung and Ting both look confused, wondering what is happening, while the director nearly chokes on his water. The students start gossiping and wonder why an exchange student wants to join the worst-ranked team in this test. No one truly knows who she is, but there is a rumor that she comes from the Saint Kingdom. The director nearly busts a fuse and tells her that exchange students cannot participate in the school's graduation test. He goes on to say that Ling never took any ranked tests here, neither proved her rank, which goes against all the rules. Out of nowhere, the principal appears and says that the director is correct. Gongxuan almost has a heart attack when he sees the old man. However, the principal then asks why Ling wants to join the test since she will only stay here for a short time. Meanwhile, our boy gets caught off guard and wonders how the principal suddenly teleported since he is a warrior class. The old man explains that it would not be fair to others if she joins the test, to which she simply plays along. Chen starts sweating as he realizes that he cannot even tell what rank these two are. The director finally gathers the courage to speak up and supports the principal, saying that a school cannot function without rules. The principal then shifts his tone and explains that the purpose of this school is to provide a learning environment for awakeners so they can achieve great things in life. Even though the graduation test is a tradition, it is also one of the most important moments in a student's life. He asks that if a student cannot participate due to sudden rule changes, how will the school make up for that loss? The director starts sweating heavily and wonders if he has finally been exposed. He begins to question if the principal is doing all of this just for the kid. Realizing that it is not worth the trouble, he decides to back down. The guy tells himself that since the strongest students have already formed one team, they should easily win the assessment anyway. The man bows to the principal and apologizes as he admits that they overlooked how this system could prevent some students from getting their chance to grow. The director then announces that even lower-ranked teams and groups with less than 5 members can now participate in the tournament to ensure fairness. The 4 dorm mates finally form their team and celebrate that they can now take part in the graduation test. Sitting in the back, the principal tells Ling that she seems way too interested in the kid. On one side of the test, the student council president leads the team of the strongest players. On the other side, Chen leads the 3 weakest players. This makes the old man very curious about which cave they will choose and how many points they will score in the end. The official then announces that all captains can now choose which devil cave to enter. Just then, his tablet dings, catching him off guard since one captain has already made a choice. Everyone starts losing their minds when they see which cave Chen selected. His dorm mates also panic and tell him to quickly change his mind, asking if he even understands what he just did. However, our boy remains silent as he continues to stare at the screen. During the graduation test, groups of students enter a devil's cave and earn points for defeating monsters. Defeating monster lords and short completion time each give separate points, and the dungeon's difficulty determines how many times the total is multiplied. An F-rank dungeon can give up to 75 points, while an E-rank dungeon can give a maximum of 100 points. The team that gets the highest score gets scouted by the Imperial Guild, and the top player receives a reward of 1 million yuan. Coming back to the selection room, the students discuss that the highest score in history was 90 points, which the current leader of the Imperial Guild achieved. Even clearing an E-rank dungeon requires at least 3 solid D-rank fighters on the team. This year, Ting's team might actually be able to surpass that record. The display then dings and informs everyone that someone has already chosen a devil's cave. The guy gets shocked when he sees that our boy has chosen a D-rank dungeon. No one has ever cleared a D-rank dungeon before, and everyone starts wondering if this was a mistake. Long asks our hero if he hit his head or something, while the dorm king completely loses his mind at what he is seeing. The nerd tries to talk some sense into Chen, but he reveals that he thought long and hard about this decision. The system then dings again as the student council president also selects the D-rank cave. Ting's teammates immediately accept their leader's choice, which qualifies them for the test. The classroom goes wild at the announcement while the group tries to act nonchalant. The blonde goth girl roasts our boy for trying to act tough and assumes that he only wants attention. The bald guy adds that his weak teammates would never agree to this, and that the team will fall apart. Long studies Chen's face and realizes that he is not faking this at all. He wonders when his friend became this strong and how much he has changed. After making up his mind, the nerd presses the confirm button and decides to trust his friend. Yo also hits the green button cave since he feels like he has nothing to lose. The dorm king gets annoyed that the two made their choice before him, and also presses the button. With that, the system officially qualifies their team for the test. Looking at his dorm mates, Chen apologizes and reveals that he chose this dungeon because he wants to become the top scorer. He realizes he is forcing them into his dream, but reassures them they will reach the top together. Hearing his words, the president suddenly stands up and declares that the top spot belongs to him alone. Chen turns around and faces him directly. Ting releases an intimidating aura and states that there can only be one strongest student in the entire school. Standing in the back, Ling gets surprised, since this is the first time she has seen such strong emotions from him. The clash between the two of them is now out in the open. The principal feels proud that the students are so fearless, but Ling feels uneasy that our boy chose a D-rank cave, which even a C-rank cannot clear alone. Even though a student can earn 150 points from a D-rank cave, the difficulty is far too high. On top of that, his teammates are not well suited for it either. The principal adds that they only have about a month left, and it will not be possible for them to improve enough in such a short time. Even so, he still hopes for the best. The story then moves forward 2 weeks to the training grounds where everyone lies exhausted on the ground. Long asks why they are doing physical training while everyone else is using simulation training. Chen made them go through all kinds of exercises, which left them extremely frustrated. Our hero explains that simulation training is of no actual help at all. When someone enters a devil cave for the first time, their mind goes blank, and the only thing that saves them are their instincts. All this training is meant to improve their physical strength so they can move faster and react better. The best training would be to enter a real dungeon and gain experience, but commoners like them can only dream of that. Only the elites get such opportunities, and they were never ordinary people to begin with. Even then, those elites will do everything they can to make sure commoners never catch up so they can stay on top. Those guys have access to resources that commoners spend their entire lives trying to obtain. The dorm king then asks what ordinary people are supposed to do in that situation. Chen reveals his plan and says that if they manage to enter the Imperial Guild, then they can change the entire system. The graduation test is the only chance for anyone to truly surpass the elites. Since that is his dream, Chen swears to do everything he can to make good on the promise he made, and that they will definitely win. With only half a month remaining until the graduation exam, our boy farms inside the Void Tower every single night. Defeating the Phantom Lions is no easy task, but he refuses to quit no matter how brutally they slam him around. 5 days before the exam, his roommates are training with everything they have. Our boy, however, is on a completely different level. His insane regimen makes the Hashira training arc look like warm-up. With just 2 days left, his rival is clearly not slacking on training either. But Chen is improving at an even faster rate, and now he can confidently hold his own against an entire pack of lions under bone-crushing gravity. With blood streaking down his face, he has never looked more prepared to win. On the day of the exam, a small drone floats with the participants, acting as their guides. The boys walk in dressed in matching outfits, looking dapper as hell. Once all participants put on their wristbands, the exam officially begins. Meanwhile, the academy principal warmly greets Gong Lin. The sharp-looking man is President Ting's father, who co-founded the Imperial Guild. The students cannot stop staring when they see the Imperial Guild co-leader, gawking at him like he is an exotic animal from the zoo. Their curiosity peaks when they see the guild co-founder and principal welcome a sleek white limo. A red-haired gentleman, Carl Cavendish, calmly steps out of the vehicle. The students freak out, because anyone would recognize the World Guild Alliance's vice chairman. Someone of his status would never normally appear anywhere near this neighborhood. Inside a VIP room, the director briefs the honored guests that a total of 23 teams are taking on F-rank demon lairs. Some groups selected grade E lairs, while only 2 teams boldly chose D-rank lairs. The Alliance Secretary Sigrid looks genuinely surprised that students would make such a reckless decision. Normally, even a D-rank party would carefully prepare before attempting a grade D lair. She questions whether the academy truly considered the students' safety. Hearing that concern, the director calmly clarifies that the students fully understand what they signed up for. He made it very clear that awakeners with 0 real combat experience typically struggle even against F-rank monsters. But the real threat lies in the lair's boss, which far outclasses the weaker mobs by several levels. Many teams ultimately fail at the end, unable to overcome the boss monster. However, things are completely different inside E-rank lairs. Even the most basic monsters there possess strength equal to an F-rank boss. That harsh reality is something students usually learn the hard way. The Alliance Secretary asks whether there is any proper safeguard once the situation turns dangerous. The director reassures her that the academy deeply values its most promising assets. For student safety, a warrior from the Imperial Guild is stationed outside every lair, ready to step in if anything goes wrong. On top of that, the wristbands each student wears can instantly teleport them out if they choose to surrender, or if their life is truly at risk. Hearing this, the lady remains doubtful that the academy has students talented enough to challenge a D-rank lair. She quietly wonders how long those teams can realistically hold out. The director, however, is confident that the little E-rank troublemakers will likely come running out in tears. Shifting to the D-rank dungeon filled with gigantic trees coated in thick ice, Chen's roommates are visibly terrified. Anyone would be after seeing the nightmare fuel creatures that look like a bizarre bats and monkey hybrid. He quickly warns his party that those monsters dive at their targets in the blink of an eye, so they had better keep their eyes wide open. Suddenly, a flock of the ghost monkey bats swoops down straight at them. Shockingly, all the boys manage to awkwardly dodge the monster's lightning-fast strikes. While they are still hyped that they avoided a D-rank creature's attack, something even crazier catches their attention. Our boy stands there calmly with a lightning sword in hand, surrounded by monster corpses already lying cold at his feet. He orders his team to focus on saving themselves first since they are not strong enough yet, and to leave the rest in his hands. Just then, another ghost monkey bat lunges at them with supersonic speed, but they barely manage to dodge it in the nick of time. Shangzhou suddenly realizes that our hero had actually been pushing them to train their reflexes and explosive speed so they could survive against demons like this. Zhu grits his teeth, knowing he had been calling himself the Dorm King all this time. Yet now His Majesty has no choice but to rely on his random roommate. In the meantime, Chen completely wipes out the remaining ghost monkeys. They dive toward him in waves, but the Giga Chad slices them down before they can even process that they got disconnected from the server. The Dorm King mumbles to himself that he always heard from Ma Long that Chen was strong, but this is the first time he has witnessed it himself. To him, Chen does not look like a mere graduate student at all, but more like a battle-hardened soldier. As the slaughter continues, the ex-Dorm King feels jealousy creeping in over our hero's rising reputation. Out of nowhere, another monster appears behind the group, and he barely manages to block its strike. He grabs the creature's leg with his flaming hands and shouts at his teammates. He yells at them to stop acting like dead weight and get it together. Chen is not the only one whose graduation is on the line. The others stare at him, surprised by his sudden determination. Inspired by the Dorm King's stubborn will, Shang Zuo casts his Flora chant, Vine Lock, and successfully entangles the monkey bat. But to his shock, the creature breaks free almost instantly, and even kicks Zuo in the process. Long casts his Cloud chant, Frostbite Breeze, which only slows the monster slightly, so they decide to combine their attacks. Working together, they manage to restrain the creature briefly and shout for the Dorm King to seize the chance. He charges up a nuclear burst flame bullet which fires a direct hit, but it barely leaves more than a few toasted hairs behind. He fires several more flame bullets at the demon, but nothing seems capable of putting it down. Shangzhou and Long are already close to their limits. The Dorm King decides he cannot afford to hold back any longer. He gathers his strength and unleashes a converged burst flame bullet straight at the monster, triggering a massive explosion. When the smoke clears, only a charred skeleton remains. The drone announces that they have successfully eliminated a D-class ghost monkey bat. The three of them collapse onto the ground, completely drained. They are thrilled that they managed to defeat a D-class monster on their own. Our boy walks over, slightly surprised, and they immediately ask if he saw them take it down. The monster leaves behind a single finger bone as loot, and Zuo casually claims that killing it was a piece of cake. Chen congratulates them anyway, and soon the drone declares that all mobs inside the Devil's Cave have been cleared. Watching the feed, Director Gong nearly loses his mind at the sight of the trash students with zero real combat experience defeating a D-level threat far beyond their inferior ability. The rest of the staff intentionally remain silent. Meanwhile, Vice Chairman Cavendish's assistant calmly praises Chen for his outstanding performance. He thinks to himself that Chen's aura reminds him very much of an old friend. The Vice Chairman mentions Chen's name and makes a note to remember him, which immediately alarms President Ting's father and the director. The director quickly shifts their attention toward the student council team inside the other D-rank cave to avoid further focus on Chen. He points out that the team has already reached the middle section, and the chairman's aide praises their coordination, while comparing it to the efficiency of a professional guild raid team. This reaction amuses Chairman Carl, and he remarks that the quality of graduates this year appears truly exceptional compared to previous batches. Director Gong quietly adds under his breath that the real battle has only just begun, and the true spectacle has yet to reveal itself to everyone present. Back inside the D-rank Toxic Vine Cavern, the president's party faces an attack from miasma poison mushroom monsters that emerge from all directions. A girl plucks her guitar and releases an elegy of decay, while a star mage links the mushrooms together with his star attraction ability for a coordinated strike. He then calls for the captain, and the president charges forward with his sword ready to finish the attack in style. With a single swift strike, the mushroom monsters burst apart as the president unleashes his blazing sky sever with precision. His teammates observe that the monsters in this school assessment match exactly with those they encountered during their earlier training sessions. Because of this familiarity, the party handles the situation without much difficulty or pressure at all. They had already expected that the graduation assessment would be arranged in advance by the school authorities, since proper backing ensures a far smoother path in life afterward. With that belief in mind, they begin to celebrate early as they feel completely confident that they will secure the champion position this year without any real challenge. Returning to the final level of the Cloud Forest, the boys are shocked that they actually survived this far and reach the Lair Lord. In the middle of a frozen wasteland, they see a ghost ape calmly enjoying its meal. The Dorm King starts sweating instantly just imagining the monster's overwhelming strength. One slap from that thing would probably send him straight to the afterlife. As if on cue, the creature slowly locks eyes on the weakest target in the group. Ma Long freaks out, and that single scream is enough to trigger the beast. The giant ape launches itself toward them in a terrifying leap. The boys sprint away like their lives truly depend on it. Meanwhile, Chen charges forward without hesitation. He jumps straight into its massive face with a brutal kick, then chaining together relentless blows, juggling its body around. He ends the fight by ripping it apart into chunks of minced monkey meat. That savage display leaves his party stunned in awe. Even so, Chen feels irritated that not even D-rank monsters are giving him good experience. The loot is disappointing as well. Out of nowhere, he hears his teammates shouting excitedly that they found giant mana stones. It seems the giant ape was hoarding them inside a hollow tree trunk. His friends practically drool over the unexpected treasure and eagerly reach out to grab the crystals. Chen shouts a warning, but he is a second too late. The instant their hands touch the mana stones, a blinding flash erupts outward. In mere seconds, the entire area is sealed in ice. Shangzuo, Lo, and the drones are fully frozen by the Arctic blast. Back in the VIP room, the live broadcast abruptly cuts off. The sleazy director smirks, as if he was waiting for this outcome. He expected high-rank monsters to set traps like this, and it was only a matter of time before Chen and his group of amateurs stumbled into one. Vice Chairman Cavendish looks displeased, clearly concerned about the students' safety. The director fakes regretting Chen's failure and claims there is no choice but to extract them immediately. The principal disagrees. He argues that they are not in immediate danger, since the wristbands will activate if the students' vital signs become abnormal, and none of them have thought of giving up. He believes only the participants should have the right to decide when they give up. Back inside the dungeon, Ma Long shivers in the biting cold. Out of everyone in the party, he is the only one who avoided being frozen, thanks to his class's naturally high resistance to ice. Just then, Long hears a bone-chilling laugh and spots a skeleton-like ice monster that seems to stare straight into his soul without mercy. He recognizes it as the lord of that lair, and recalls seeing it mentioned in the monster compendium before. He quickly remembers that it is actually a cloud mage that controls both defensive and offensive abilities with ease, while it manipulates ice and snow without any effort at all. He also recalls that the creature before him, which enjoys killing prey through prolonged torture, is known as the Bone King of Remains. He realizes that the ice bomb was nothing more than a trap, so he turns around and runs without hesitation to save himself. Long understands very well that he cannot handle a C-class lord monster like this on his own under any circumstance. He rushes toward Chen in an attempt to free him, but an ice attack strikes his leg before he can even reach his target in time. The Bone King laughs at his misery, while his bracelet sends out a warning signal that informs him his leg has been completely pierced through. It offers him the option to abandon the exam, but Long refuses to give up hope and still tries to thaw Chen out before they lose their only advantage. At that moment, another ice shard shoots through his arm, which stops him from freeing Chen despite his desperate effort. The Bone King enjoys Long's suffering as it watches him endure unbearable pain, while his bracelet issues another warning about severe damage. It detects that his arm has also been pierced through and notes that his heart rate has risen to a dangerous level, then offers him the option to abandon the exam once again, but the kid slips into a flashback instead. He recalls that throughout his life, he always ran away from problems the moment hardship appeared, and that habit left him behind every single time without exception. He remembers how people ignored him, bullied him, and laughed at him, yet he and his friends spent too much effort to reach this point now. He sees this moment as his final chance to change their fate, so he gathers the last of his strength, stands up, and manages to release Chen at last. He stands tall as the Bone King unleashes a barrage of icicles straight toward him without any pause. Just as the attack is about to land, he lets out a loud roar, and Chen finally opens his eyes at that exact moment. The ice block shatters into pieces, and Chen rushes forward as he carries Long away from danger in one swift move. This sudden escape catches the Bone King off guard, while Long quickly realizes that Chen managed to break free from the icy prison entirely on his own in the end. The warrior thanks Long for helping him earlier and immediately asks about his condition with clear concern. Long replies that the bleeding has stopped for now, so he will survive without further issues at least for the moment. He informs Chen that the monster they face is a cloud type, C-rank lord known as the Bone King, and he warns that it is extremely dangerous in combat. He adds that they must avoid getting frozen again at any cost if they want even a slight chance to survive this encounter. They turn back and see the Bone King charge up a massive cluster of ice shards, which quickly forms into a massive glacier attack ready to fire. Long is stunned, realizing that the monster is about to drop a giant ice nuke on them, and in the next instant the bomb crashes down and covers everything in blinding white. The monster begins to laugh, but the sound suddenly stops when it notices that both of them still stand alive after that devastating attack. Chen switches his class to the Doomflame King and activates a Cloud Warrior Frost Body, which grants him complete immunity to cold damage. The transformation also boosts all his resistance stats within cold environments, which turns the battlefield into his advantage instead. The Bone King lets out a horrified shriek, and even Long feels confused as he watches his friend, who was supposed to be a Volt assassin, turn into a Cloud-type warrior instead. He questions whether Chen might be one of those rare prodigies who can awaken two different classes at once without restriction. Chen simply apologizes for misjudging the situation earlier, and admits that he dragged his friends into a dangerous fight because of that mistake, so he switches class again into an Abyssal Fiend. He then pulls out his Purgatory Warrior sword and faces the Bone King with full intent to end the fight right there. His best buddy's jaw drops wide open at that sight. Normally, all Awakeners are born with a single class they can specialize in, but among them exists an ultra-rare chance that someone possesses two classes simultaneously. These dual classers are so scarce you could count them on one hand. That kind of exclusivity turns them into treasures every major guild desperately wants. However, that alone isn't what shocked him. He watched closely and realized that Chen is not using one, not two, but three completely different classes. On top of that, each of those classes are in a league of its own. In his Abyssal Fiend form, Chen's stats surge at an insane rate. His overwhelming physical strength launches him off the ground like a rocket. He rockets forward with explosive momentum toward the boss, whose smug grin vanishes under our boy's killing aura. In a single clean motion, he slices the bony bastard like a knife through butter, leveling up to 17 and obtaining a rare loot drop. Staring at the shattered skeleton's lifeless remains, his friend is still stunned that he just one-shot a C-rank lair lord. Our guy casually reminds him that the others are still frozen solid in ice. Ma Long suddenly has an oh crud moment, and realizes he completely forgot about his other homies during the entire boss fight. He sprints off to thaw the others out before they turn into forbidden ice cream. After he leaves, Chen notices that he has the option to devour the Frostlich King. With no one around to witness it, he quickly absorbs the fallen lair lord and acquires the Cloud Mage class. Thanks to the boss's Arctic Nova blinding every drone in the area, no one will discover his hidden ability. Then, out of nowhere, he receives another surprise notification. His Lightning Assassin class levels up as well, allowing him to add a star to enhance one of his stats. The scene then shifts to the D-rank lair, Gloomvine Grotto, where the council president's team is getting absolutely overwhelmed. No matter how fiercely they attack, the D-rank boss proves far too durable for these amateur awakeners. The mage restraining the monster's movements with chains is already on the verge of collapse, and the lightning archer's arrows feel more like a light massage than real damage to the lair lord. They get tossed around like cheap action figures in a Happy Meal toy box. The humiliation makes them question whether all those combat simulations were completely pointless. They have never faced anything even close to this level of power. The mage quickly realizes that the president is their only real hope of defeating the boss. Far in the backline, the president makes a dramatic pose. He charges his ultimate skill while being buffed by the support mages. With enough energy finally gathered, he launches himself at the boss with his blazing sword. The blade pierces straight through its core and erupts into a storm of flames that melt it from the inside out. His teammates erupt in cheers, celebrating the rise of a legend whose name will supposedly enter the history books. The drone announces that their team has cleared a Grade D lair in just over 30 minutes. Completely fired up, his party is convinced they bagged first place. No other team could possibly beat that time. They exit the lair eagerly, expecting to see their names shining proudly at the very top of the rankings. Soon, they walk through the hallways filled with students who surrendered and teleported out early. Most of them look utterly traumatized, still haunted by the demons they encountered for the first time. The president's lackey happens to spot our boy and his squad sitting off to the side as well. One glance at his exhausted group makes it clear. They must have flopped instantly the moment they went inside. The lackey smugly walks over, mocking Chen for supposedly failing halfway through after all that bold attitude earlier. The loyal dog continues barking, but his master silences him, because the Alliance vice chairman is approaching. The elegant man claps slowly and congratulates the students on their spectacular performance. As he walks closer, the president keeps a calm expression, while his underlings nearly tremble with excitement at standing before one of the world's most powerful figures. President Ting confidently extends his hand for a handshake. However, Mr. Cavendish completely ignores it, walking straight past him without even a glance. Suffering such open humiliation, the president feels his pride shatter internally. To make matters worse, the vice chairman loudly calls his rival a true legend. The man grips Chen's shoulder and announces for everyone nearby to hear that he cleared a D-rank dungeon in just 20 minutes. Not even professional teams from his own guild have ever achieved such a record. Both the council president and his goons go completely speechless. They fail to process how 4 bottom-feeding nobodies beat their full 10-man squad in time and actually cleared a D-rank lair. Meanwhile, Chen does not even blink. Receiving praise from the most powerful man in the country means absolutely nothing to him. At the same time, he cannot help but wonder why such an influential figure personally came to this academy. Anyway, Carl Cavendish calmly states that he will remember Chen's name very well. Then he turns to Gong Lin, the man who invited him here in the first place. The vice chairman casually remarks that his son is talented as well, offering a half-baked compliment at best. That leaves a bitter taste in the mouths of both father and son. With that said, the vice chairman announces that it is time for him to leave. The director quickly steps in to smooth things over. He declares the final results, announcing that both top teams have tied in score. As a result, they will all receive an official invitation to join the Imperial Guild. That news sounds like heavenly music to Chen's roommates, because they are basically set for life thanks to his massive carry. President Ting's lackeys celebrate too, but the man himself is far from pleased with this outcome. Then the director adds that the captains will receive management roles within the guild for their leadership, and the $1 million cash prize will be split evenly between them. Hearing that, both team leaders are visibly surprised. Chen quietly worries that $500,000 will not be enough to settle his debt. He needs to figure out another way to earn the remaining amount and fulfill his promise to the Mithril Exchange Guild. But that concern may not matter, because President Ting openly refuses to accept a tie. He boldly declares that a 1 versus 1 duel will determine the true winner. There can only be one champion. That sudden challenge is so shocking that it draws the attention of the director and even the vice chairman. Alarmed by his nephew's reckless move, the director urgently tries to persuade him to accept the current outcome instead. The old man explains that a tie is already the best possible outcome, especially after his earlier humiliation. He remains calm, assuming our boy will reject such a pointless duel. But my guy immediately accepts the challenge, on the condition that the winner takes the entire $1 million prize. That spicy twist is wild enough to make the vice chairman pause and cancel his departure. With that settled, Chen steps forward to face him directly, ready to settle the score once and for all.